is Siti Nur Farisha binti Abdul Razak. My student ID is 2021123573.
My name is Hanis Nafisa binti Razali. My student ID is 2021123149.
My name is Nur Aina Hazwani binti Zaidi and my student ID is 2021108259.
My name is Nur Amni binti Abdul Rahim and my student ID is 2021107461.
The geographical of Thailand. Thailand is a country in Southeast Asia. Bangkok is the nation capital and largest city. Thailand has a total of 23 countries. Thailand is bordered to the north by Myanmar and Laos, to the east by Laos and Cambodia, to the south by the Gulf of Thailand and Malaysia, and to the west by the Andaman Sea and Myanmar. It also shares maritime border with Vietnam in the Gulf of Thailand to the southeast, Indonesia and India, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, in the Andaman Sea to the southwest. The northern part of Thailand is the origin of several important rivers that cross the mountain. The mountains are overgrown with thick trees and the valleys are fertile. The central part of Thailand is the central alluvial mainland. The area is the most densely populated and is a center of trade, industry and agriculture.
Thai politics today is the conduct in the framework of the democratic constitutional monarchy, where the Prime Minister is the head of the government and the hereditary king is the state. The king is the head of the armed forces and the enforcers of the all religions. The government has the right to support and the right to warn the government if the government do not run the affair of the state. In general, the king has the little direct power under the limits of the constitutional purposes. The king of the Thailand is the high respected by the whole society. They consider that the king is a leader in the moral terms. This condition is often used for the several opportunities when resolving crisis issues. On the other hand, the Prime Minister who will act as the head of the government will be appointed by the king. Normally, the Prime Minister will be elected from the existing member of the parliament. As for the form of the country called by the white elephant, it is a form of the unity. The unity of the Thailand state is divided into 77 provinces, each of which will be led by the governor. The governor will be appointed by Mendagari.
Economic sector of Thailand. The main economic activity carried out in Thailand is dependent on export. Export activities account for more than two-thirds of gross domestic product (GDP). Thailand exports more than the US, 105 billion in goods and services annually. The main exports are car, computer, electrical appliances, rice, textiles and footwear, fishery products, rubber, and even jewelry. Thailand is a rapidly developing economy and is considered a new industrial country. Thailand has a 2017 GDP of US 236 trillion on a purchasing power basis. Thailand is the second largest economy in Southeast Asia after Indonesia. Thailand ranks among the richest countries in Southeast Asia as it is the fourth richest country in terms of GDP per capita after Singapore, Brunei, and Malaysia.
Firstly, we go to the effect of an increasing Thai baht in 2019. That we can see is difficult for exporters in Thailand. It will make the prices of goods and services in Thailand more expensive in foreign currency terms and make importers from abroad who buy goods from Thailand have to reduce purchases due to rising price. The Thai Ministry of Commerce report also show rice export in the first 9 months of 2019 declined by 28.1% to just 5.9 million tons of shipments. Rice is one of the country's main export, with its closest competitor being neighboring Vietnam. With the rise of the baht at the moment, it makes the price of Thai rice is relatively more expensive than Vietnam, China, and India. In addition, increasing Thai baht in 2019 changed the exciting pattern of distribution of income and wealth in a society where some groups are relatively better off than others. The people who stand to gain from continuous inflation. During Thai baht increase, the value of the fixed deposit bonds, life insurance policies, and money would depreciate in terms of real income. Real income is the purchasing power of the money as measured by the number of goods and services that can be purchased with it.
Days we keep increasing. There are several factors that contribute to the appreciation of the baht. One of the reasons is the current account surplus experienced by Thailand. It is due to the weak performance of the US dollar. Official statistics released by the Thai Financial Ministry recently show the country's economic performance was better in 2018 compared to the same period in 2014. Gross domestic product (GDP) growth in the first quarter of 2018 reached 4.8%, the highest in 5 years. This was driven, among others, by a 6% increase in export of the goods and services, as well as increased private and public sector investment, contributing 3.1% and 4% respectively. Production capital utilization rate, the signification index, increased from 63% in the first quarter of 2014 to 72.4% in the first quarter of 2018. Thailand's growing tourism industry plays a key role in its economic success, with the number of tourism tourists increase almost every year, from 25 million in 2014 to 35 million last year. 40% in 4 years only. Tourism accounts for 25 million of Thailand's GDP. The next reason that has attracted investors to the Thailand is to make the country a safe haven for money from abroad. It is a major factor that attracts investors because of the current account condition of the country, which is rated as healthy.
Policies to stop the Thai baht keep increasing. Bank of Thailand reduced the limit on non-resident account outstanding balance by 1/3 and reduced the supply of 3-month and 6-month bond at outstanding in July and August. The Bank of Thailand has signaled plans to further relax restrictions on upward portfolio investment by Thailand investors, which can also help stem currency appreciation. Authorities have taken steps to reduce short-term capital inflow, including reducing sale of government bonds. Reducing the sale of government bonds to foreign investors can reduce the inflow of foreign capital into the country as well as reduce the supply of baht. Policy efforts are better aimed at helping exporters sell products with higher added value rather than competing at lower price. Policy rate cut also help in stopping Thai baht from continuing to rise. The measure most demanded by the private sector is for the central bank to reduce policy rate. The general belief is that further rate cut will make the Thai baht less attractive to foreign investors, thus reducing pressure on the baht.
Okay, let's go to the next. The impact of Thai baht appreciation in Thailand's economy. First of the point is the strong currency has lowered the country's competitiveness and exacerbated both export of goods and tourism, which are the two main drivers of the Thai economy. For your information, in early 2019, Bank of Thailand does not seem to care about the rise of the Thai baht, as a strong currency could actually benefit Thai importance and those with foreign currency debt. It can also help improve the country's trade conditions. In addition, Thai car production from January to October 2020 decreased by 35.5% year-on-year to 1.1 million units, as taught by the vice chairman and spokesperson of the Automotive Club, Surapong Pasitanapong. If the bird rise more than 5% in a year, it will affect overall export. But if the value of the baht changes at around 3 to 5% a year, this is an acceptable level and allows local exporters to manage with foreign exchange rates. Last but not least, for the impact of Thai baht appreciation in Thailand's economy is exports and agricultural production for the whole year are expected to decline more than expected.
Lastly, we go to the current status of inflation and unemployment rate in Thailand. The annual inflation rate in Thailand rose to 2.71% in November 2021 from 2.38% in October, above market consensus of 2.5%. This was highest reading since April as consumption accelerated following a further rise in COVID-19 vaccination while government subsidy measure ended. Cost of food increased by 0.43%, rebounding from decline in the previous 4 months, boosted by rises in vegetables, fruits, and meats. Also, transport inflation rose further 11.72 versus 11.61%. Besides that, Thailand's unemployment rate for 2021 was 1.02% and 0.3% increase from 2019. Thailand's unemployment rate jumped to 2.25% in the third quarter of this year, hitting the highest level since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a report released by the National Economic and Social Development Council. Next, as the strict control measures have severely affected economic activities and job market, some 871,000 people in the country are recorded as unemployed in third quarter, up from 732,000 in the previous quarter.